So into the charts we go. We have Bitcoin pushing up just a little bit. We're still not taking out the highs from Saturday, this past Saturday, which is around 23,375. But nonetheless, it is a nice little uptick. Now, in all fairness, what's going on here in crypto land? Why are we seeing this little bit of a gain? And the answer is pretty simple. Just flip over to the S&P 500 and look at this big move up, 1.5% in risk assets like stocks. And the NASDAQ itself, if we flip over to the Qs, look at that move there, up 2.5% on the QQQ. So the bottom line is we are seeing a risk-on environment continue, and that is going to be positive for cryptocurrency. There's no doubt about it. That is a positive. All right, so again, keep that in mind. As long as you see risk assets, this appetite for investors to jump in on risk assets, you're going to most likely see Bitcoin continue up. Now, where is the likely target on Bitcoin? Well, I've talked about it before, and the answer is very simple here. So again, one of the things that we're kind of hammering in is this little pivot top, but assuming we get through this, assuming the risk on environment continues, you'd be looking for a double top right here at around 25,000. So for me, again, like I've said, I'm still holding that core position, 25% of my portfolio in Bitcoin, and that would be where I look to start to take it off the table if we extend ourselves up, which is only about $2,000 away per coin. All right. So again, expect that. I would say that, again, there's no guarantees it's going to go up there, but as long as this environment continues and persists, we can look for that, which again, I would be rooting for because I'd like to get out of that plus Polkadot and then be able to start shorting Bitcoin up at that range. Okay, now I am again in that Ethereum short here. And again, you could see very clearly it's still hovering there. At one point this morning, this was actually down below 1,600. That had us in the money on that short. And again, as of now, it's floated back up, but certainly not seeing a lot of robust upside activity, unlike what we're seeing in Bitcoin. Now, again, part of that is the fact that you have this top plus this upsloping trend line that are two major trend lines versus on Bitcoin, we only have one trend line here and then one trend line up here, right? So again, you'd be looking for these confluence of resistance trend lines or pivot points that would then create an issue for Bitcoin with a multi-factor negative to it or resistance point. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So Ethereum still has resistance here. If Ethereum does break up, the next level of resistance would not be that much higher. You'd be looking at around 1785 right up here. And then obviously the 2000 level, which was that highest point over the summer, right? So here was your June low. Here was your highest point since June. That would be at 2000. All right, for me, again, if it did happen to go up to 2000, there'd be no doubt that I would be adding to that short play because, again, everything continues to showcase. I mean, if you zoom out on this chart on Ethereum, what are you seeing here? Right, and what we're clearly seeing here is that this is your down move, and then this is all upside sideways chop. And again, very, very clear that at this point, this is a bear rally. Now, it doesn't mean it can't turn into a new bull, but you would have to take out key levels for that to happen. Okay, so again, it's all about looking at the charts objectively and just saying, all right, well, what is the big picture showing here? What's the micro picture showing here? And how does that all kind of work together? Looking at Solana. Solana, again, we're basically flat on this short right now. By the way, there is a chance that we could still pop one more time on Solana up to about this $27 range and then maybe even a little higher here, this downsloping trend line. But again, talking about a confluence of resistance lines, this downsloping trend line, this flat trend line, they're coming together over in this range, which would then lead you to expect that we would hit resistance and major resistance in that vicinity. Okay, in terms of a pullback on Solana, I would be looking for more of a move back down. There'll be a couple levels, right? So you'll have this $20 level right here. Then you'll have a little bit of a level right there around $16.75. If we continue to sell, you're looking at around $15 as a resistance point or support point, excuse me, on Solana. All right, looking at Polkadot, which I still have as a long trade out there. It is getting a pop. So again, we've been looking at this and saying the next big stopping point is going to be around $7.25. And it is making a short-term higher high. That is good to see. It does show relative strength, so that's awesome. Again, this is your next resistance right here. It's actually around $7.35. So 735 would be your highest point there. Gets through that, you're looking at 790, and if it gets through that, you could be looking at close to $10 on the Polkadot chart here. In terms of a pullback, this down-sloping trend line, which it hit here before this latest move up, that continues to be support. And then if you break below that, that's where things get a little tricky. You'll have a little support at $5, and then obviously back down to this lower sloping trend line down here. All right, so that's where we stand on those, and those are basically looking at the trading opportunities that we have open right now in the service. And again, as of now, looking pretty darn good. I'll take it. I'll take the shorts basically flattish right now in this strong environment, and then the longs continue to move up more and more, which is exactly what I would like to see. Now, where exactly are some other trading opportunities? Let's take a look at Matic. Let's see if there's anything on the Matic chart here. And the first thing I see is Matic isn't doing anything, right? So even today, here's your daily chart. It's your daily candle. There's nothing going on there. It's a flattish day. You still haven't even taken out this high. Now, I still think Matic could have one more push up to this yellow trend line here. But again, it's only about a 13, 14 cent move from here. It's not a big move on Matic. So I don't see any trade here. You certainly wouldn't be looking to buy this choppy consolidation because the reward is so limited here that it's going to slam on the brakes right up here. Plus, the risk is all the way back down to this level here. So the risk reward, I mean, you basically be risking, the approximate drop down to 80 cents. So 20 cent risk for about a 14 cent gain. That risk reward is not going to mesh with the charts at this point, okay? So just something to keep an eye on there, and I think that's a very, very good little tidbit point to monitor here, okay? Let me see what else we have here on the radar. Let's go to a couple of these other ones. How about Avalanche? Avalanche, again, look at how it just keeps hammering on this down-sloping trend line right here. I do think that there's a chance it could break out and go up to this level here. So I do think we want to keep that on our radar. And if it does go there, I think, again, that gets me very, very interested, maybe in a short up in that range. I'd like to find a confluence of levels as well. Let me just do a couple other trend lines here. If we take this low from June and connect it right through here, now that would be, actually that's not a bad level if it got up there to short. You can see pivot low to pivot low to pivot low, then you hit it, broke, then you kissed the bottom, then kissed it again here and here, and now again we'd see if, so again, that's quite a move up. That would be back to about $24.50, but that would be something that would get my attention, no doubt about it. Okay? So that's another one there to keep an eye on. Let's look at that Ripple chart. You guys know that I'm not a huge fan of Ripple overall, just because, again, and I'll just throw this out there. And by the way, Ripple's actually hitting that resistance line here we talked about. It's piercing it actually, which is kind of cool. But the one thing I would just keep in mind is that on Ripple's the idea of Ripple, as far as I know anyways, and you guys probably know a lot better than me, but it's that it becomes kind of intertwined with the financial system, a way to move payments and so forth. Obviously at a very cheap rate or basically free. So you get rid of SWIFT, you get rid of wires, you get rid of that kind of stuff. My only issue with that is it's hard for me to imagine the banks being okay with that, and we know the banks are intertwined with the government and with the Federal Reserve. So that's my one issue with it, is that I love the idea, being able to send large chunks of money, through and so forth, but you just wonder if the big players out there are going to be okay losing those stream of incomes. And again, we'll see what the judge's decision is. I mean, that's another thing we have to be very, very careful about, is that anytime you have a scenario where a judge can rule one way or the other, I think that is a risk that you have to kind of monitor, right? So anyways, just my 2 cents on that situation there, and we'll continue to monitor it and see how things trade here. Okay, couple other things to go over here as we continue on. Let's take a look at Chainlink here. See what Chainlink is doing. Chainlink is trying to break up a little bit. Still has resistance around 775. I'm not seeing a whole lot there at this point. Nothing really looks that great in this chart as opposed to some of the other ones. So again, we'll continue to monitor that. But let me look at a couple other coins here. Binance. Let's take a look at BNB here. See what BNB has in store for us. Same thing, Binance is just struggling here to me. So Binance, again, definitely on the struggle bus as it continues to kind of chop in this vicinity here. And again, we'll continue to watch that very, very closely here. Okay? Bear with me here as we continue to monitor. Looks like Nat Gas is getting a pop. I gave you guys a heads up on Nat Gas recently that was on the upswing. And again, that's getting a little bit of a pop today, and I'm just kind of monitoring a couple other positions here. This is one of my favorite trades going into this week, as I talked about it even in this video with you guys here. And And you can see, again, it doesn't look like a big move, but it is about a 4% move on natural gas. This should be a low pivot. This should actually continue. I still think, back to 360 is a no-brainer, and then maybe it even goes higher. But look at this nice little intraday. If we go to the 10-minute chart, look at this breakup occurring on the intraday chart there. So pretty cool in that respect. Let me just see if there's anything else here to go over. No, don't see a whole lot there. We looked at Polygon. We looked at Polkadot. Litecoin again, I'll look at that. I haven't looked at that in a few days. And Litecoin again, that's your 10-minute chart. Daily chart again, this is your resistance. Look at this amazing level of resistance. Pivot low, pivot low, pivot low. And that's right at the even number of 100 basically. So that would be my estimation of upside potential there. Okay. Tron, I don't know if anyone out there is interested in Tron, but sure, we can bring that up real quick. Tron, again, look at that, hit the high pivot there. That's classic resistance. If it gets through there, you're going to go up to about 0.071 to 72 cents. Aside from there, though, it's still quite a ways off of that level, so I wouldn't focus too much on that at this point. Okay, I think that's really all I have for you guys. So again, it's a little bit of an up move on Bitcoin. Good to see Polkadot pushing up both of these things. If I had my perfect, game plan, I would say, okay, Bitcoin, Polkadot, rip up. We'll see if even Solana makes a little bit of a move up or not. We'll see if it pops up just a little bit. And then ultimately what I want to do is again, unload Polkadot, unload Bitcoin, and then start to maneuver on the short side of those and even add to Ethereum, add to Solana, maybe short Avalanche. There's definitely going to be, if we continue up here, there are going to be some great trading opportunities on the short side. All right, guys. And again, I know the FOMO out there. I know that's all. You have to be outside of that box or that bubble. If you get caught in the FOMO bubble, if you find yourself getting caught in it, be very, very careful, all right? That is the lure. That is, think of yourself being a fish in the water and you see this delicious, worm or lure out there and you just you can't resist. You have to resist. These are shark-infested waters, and again, it's so apparent right now that you're having the January effect, the risk-on effect right now, which is great for us. We had a lot of longs coming into the year in crypto, but again, it's the January effect. It's the risk-on, the asset risk-on environment. You see it in the stock market, and I do want to caution, be very, very careful here. They will pull the rug at some point, and it is going to be nasty. All right, you guys have a good one. I'll keep you posted. Take care.